Welcome back to my channel, where we explore fascinating stories and events from around the world. In today's video, we'll be delving into a topic that has had a significant impact on the history of Africa: coups and counter-coups. We'll be discussing various coups that have taken place in different African countries from 1954 to date. The purposes of coups in Africa are varied depending on the specific circumstances and context of each coup. Some coups have been carried out by military or political leaders seeking to consolidate power, suppress political opposition, or maintain control over natural resources or wealth. Other coups have been motivated by the desire to address corruption, economic inequality, or political instability. Here are some of the major ones that have occurred from 1954 to date. 1. Egypt. In 1952, a group of military officers led by Gamal Abdel Nasser overthrew the Egyptian monarchy in a coup. 2 years later, a power struggle within the ruling Revolutionary Command Council led to the ouster of Nasser's deputy, General Mohammed Naguib. The Egyptian military has, however, been in power for over 70 years, apart from 2012 to 2013 under President Mohamed Morsi. 2. Sudan. In 1956, Sudan gained independence from Britain and Egypt. 2 years later, General Ibrahim Aboud staged a coup and suspended the country's constitution. Aboud ruled Sudan until 1964, when a popular uprising forced him to step down. About 10 coups, with 5 unsuccessful, have taken place to date. Recently, in April 2019, President Omar al-Bashir, who had been in power for 30 years, was overthrown in a military coup. The coup came after months of protests calling for Bashir's resignation. A transitional government was established in August 2019, and civilian rule was restored. Guinea. In 1958, Guinea became the first French colony in Africa to gain independence. 2 years later, President Ahmed Sékou Touré survived the coup attempt by disgruntled military officers. Recently, in September 2021, a group of military officers led by Mamadi Doumbouya staged a coup and overthrew President Alpha Condé. The coup came after Condé had amended the country's constitution to allow him to seek a third term in office. The international community condemned the coup and sanctions were imposed on the new government. Congo. The Democratic Republic of Congo, formerly Zaire, experienced a series of coups and counter-coups after gaining independence from Belgium in 1960. The most significant was the 1965 coup led by General Joseph Mobutu, which led to his dictatorship that lasted until his ouster in 1997. Nigeria. In January 1966, a group of young military officers overthrew Nigeria's government in a coup. The coup led to the deaths of several political leaders, including the Prime Minister and the Premier of 2 of Nigeria's 3 regions. The military remained in power until 1979, when a civilian regime was ushered in. The military took over again from 1983 to 1999. Ghana. Ghana's first president, Kwame Nkrumah, was overthrown in a military coup in 1966. The coup was led by a group of officers who accused Nkrumah of promoting a personality cult and suppressing political opposition. Since then, about 4 successful coups have taken place. Uganda. General Idi Amin seized power in a coup in 1971, ousting President Milton Obote. Amin ruled Uganda with an iron fist until he too was overthrown in 1979. Ethiopia. In 1974, a group of army officers known as the DEG overthrew Emperor Haile Selassie in a coup. The DEG ruled Ethiopia until 1991, when they were ousted by a coalition of rebel groups. Somalia. After years of civil war, Somalia's military regime collapsed in 1991. The country has been in a state of anarchy ever since, with no effective central government. Zimbabwe. In November 2017, Zimbabwe's military seized control of the government, placing President Robert Mugabe under house arrest. The move was prompted by Mugabe's firing of his vice president, Emmerson Mnangagwa, who was seen as his potential successor. Mugabe resigned a few days later, and Mnangagwa was sworn in as president. Mali. In March 2012, a group of army officers overthrew Mali's government, citing corruption and incompetence. The coup came amid a rebellion by Tuareg separatists in the north of the country. The military junta was criticized by the international community, and a transitional government was established in April 2012. Burkina Faso. In October 2014, President Blaise Compaoré, who had been in power for 27 years, was forced to resign after a popular uprising. The military initially took control of the country, but a civilian transitional government was established in November 2014. My YouTube friends, these are just a few examples of the coups and counter-coups that have taken place in Africa over the past few decades. Each one has had a significant impact on the political, economic, and social landscape of the continent. It's worth noting that while some of these coups have led to long periods of instability, others have paved the way for greater democracy and stability in the affected countries. Regardless, coups and other forms of unconstitutional changes of government are generally seen as harmful to democracy and human rights, and the international community often takes a strong stance against them. If you enjoyed this YouTube video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with others. Feel free to leave your comments and suggestions below. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more engaging content on our channel.